And then after, we shall go into the anthems, a word of prayer, and then we'll begin with our program. So kindly, for those of us outside, do come in and take your seats. DJ, you can give us a small interlude as they come in. Among others, business registration, intellectual property registration, civil registration, what we call marriages, and some divorces, depending on the denomination. We also have products like Simple, where we create a mechanism for access to credit by persons using collateral other than land. We have a team of very energetic young people, some of them here with us today. So along the way, if you feel that, yes, I need to know something about marriages, do ask around. I will be introducing the team at some point. If you want to know about traditional knowledge and traditional expressions, if you want to know about insolvency and how to wind up a business, how to get some kind of assistance in terms of administration when you're struggling, how to incorporate a company in record time, and things of the kind, the team around here today is going to be helping us to discuss that. But today specifically, we are launching the mass business registration, an initiative that we shall hear from our various speakers about. Very interested in formalizing our economy, very interested in creating meaningful partnerships as we work together to develop our country. So there's a lot in stock for you today, and in the days to come, please do find time to visit us at our UBFC building in Korolo, Baskerville. You can also go on our website, which I'm sure should have been running around www.ursb.go.ug, and you'll get more information. We have active lines, we have WhatsApp lines. You can always get in touch with us. We also have some other handles. We have what they call X, an X handle, and other social media platforms on which you can reach us. So do find time to visit our handles and raise questions, suggestions, as and when you feel you should. Like I said, we should be starting in a minute. And any minute from now, I'm expecting the guest of honor to be joining us, and then we can start. Just to say, when earlier on I talked about networking, it's because of the various distinguished invitees that we have here that I thought you should know. We have people from the business community. We have leaders of various government departments. We have different business sector players. We have facilitators like the Law Society, all amidst us. So make it a point to leave this place with an additional contact of those that you have. You never know when it becomes handy. And so I can see the guest of honor about to enter. May I request that we stand up and welcome him. Thank you. Our dear guest of honor and your entourage, you're most welcome. Thank you for finding time to join us this morning. May I also request that before we take our seats, we do the anthems. DJ, please. While we're still standing, may I have Frida lead us in a word of prayer?
Let's have a word of prayer. Father, Lord, we bless you and welcome you into this place. We place our nation and our leaders into your loving arms. For you have started a good work in us, you'll bring it to completion. We dedicate this day into your mercies. May you straighten your hand to continue leading the government, leading our leaders, and protecting us. May our business community thrive. May the private sector bring glory to your name. Lord, for everything that we lay hands on, we be blessed. In Jesus' name we pray.
Thank you, Frida. We may take our seats. Our dear guest of honor, the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, our dear PSST, the Chairman of the Board, URSB board members, the Registrar General, distinguished invited guests, staff from URSB, ladies and gentlemen, you're most welcome to the launch of the Mass Business Registration Initiative this morning. Thank you very much for finding time off your very busy schedules to join us this morning. We are pressed for time, and so we will not have lots of discussions, but I just want to say that, dear guest of honor, in the audience that you'll be addressing today, we have very distinguished ladies and gentlemen from various spheres of life. We have those in business leadership, so the likes of Kasita, Usia, Uganda Manufacturers Association, and others. We have distinguished members from the various government departments that are key players and stakeholders to what we do as URSB and as we grow the economy and the government. We also have members who are offering support services, CPA, ULS, and many others who have come to grace this occasion. So you have an array of people that you'll be talking to. Today is a very special day for URSB, where we launch our mass business registration. Of course, we have always registered businesses, but today is a very special day because what we give you is a product, and as we shall hear from the Registrar General, you'll be able to learn why and why this timing. So without much ado, I would like to recognize the organizing team, just in case you need anything from them. Kindly, with a show of hands, organizing committee URSB. Thank you, Stephen. In the corner, in the right corner there. Those are the ladies and gentlemen that have put this together, and should you need anything from them, kindly do approach them, and they'll be able to give you the guidance that you require of them. Without much ado, I would like to invite now our host, or rather hostess, or maybe host, I don't know, the Registrar General, Madame Mase Chomgashokinobwisho, to give us opening remarks and be the set maker of this morning. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Vincent. Our chief guest, the Honorable Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, that is our ministry, our mother ministry as Uganda Registration Services Bureau. The Right Honorable Board Chair of Uganda Registration Services Bureau, Right Honorable Francis Butagira, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Honorable Ramadan Gobi, a great man that has supported this project. The Ministry of Finance continues to give us money to run this institution, Uganda Registration Services Bureau. Fellow board members of Uganda Registration Services Bureau. I have seen permanent secretaries, heads of government agencies, ministries, representatives of ministries, departments, and agencies, all distinguished delegates and ladies and gentlemen, and the bigger business community. We really welcome you this morning as we mark a pivotal moment as Uganda Registration Services Bureau that is going to make economic landscape the mass registration project or initiative. This is an ambitious campaign for this nation that is going to set and reshape the business formalization agenda in terms of registration of businesses at a grassroots level. And as you may be aware, Uganda Registration Services Bureau is an institution of government that does registration. Our business is registration. We register almost everything apart from land and a few things. And we host over 30 registers. And every register has a law. We implement over 18 acts of parliament, over 21 regulations, and we say that we are the biggest organization or government agency that has the biggest mandate. And business registration, of which we are here for, is just one component of the work we do. Beyond business registration, which involves business name registrations, partnership registrations, companies registration, document registrations. We do intellectual property, which has trademarks, patents, utility models, traditional knowledge, copyright. And then we also register civil transactions, marriages, licensing places of worship, giving special licenses, issuing single status letters. We resolve insolvency, regulate insolvency in terms of business rescue, but also handling matters of receivership. We have a register of chattels which involve using your movable property to acquire facilitation from the financial sector. We register non-profit-making entities, and I'm happy to see my brother, Mr. Stephen Okello, who is the ED of the National NGO Bureau, and many others. So every component is a register, and every register has a law. But because business registration is the foundation of economic development, we said this year, this financial year, we are going to go massive in terms of growing our economy through formalization agenda. Many of these businesses that we support, many of these businesses that we see in the malls that we construct every other day are not registered. And my observation as a researcher is almost every new mall in your neighborhood has a pharmacy, has an eating place or a fast food place, it has a boutique, it has a restaurant, it has a supermarket. Of course, in terms of supermarkets internationally, you see small shops written on supermarket, but they are groceries. So it means that the business sector is growing, but our registers are not growing. When you look at the census, just do the census of businesses that are registered within Kampala, within Wakiso, and beyond, you cannot add up with the numbers that we have. At the moment, we have approximately 550,000 registered entities, which include business names and companies. And as you are aware, recently, we struck off 300,000 companies from the register. That's why the register reduced, because we had so many dormant entities, and we encourage all those that were affected to approach our office so that we see how to reconcile the records. Our register of businesses dates back in 1911. That is when the first company was registered in Uganda. In 1911, during the British colonial rule. Then we have the post-independence rule, where we see other new laws coming, the domesticated laws, because those days we were using the British colonial laws to register. And now we have the Companies Act of 2022 as amended. We have the Business Registration Act. We have the Partnership Acts, the Document Registrations Act that man and guide the registration of businesses in Uganda. So this financial year, we said, no, we have to expand the register. And we invited all key stakeholders in this room, because we'll be going to other regions of this country to launch and expand this project, because this project or this initiative is for the lower person, because we believe that we have to reach out to you to get registrations. As you may be aware, Uganda Registration Services Bureau has 6 regional offices. We are in Masaka, we are in Gulu, we are in Mbarara, we are in Mbale, we are in Hoima. Colleagues remind me, we have had so many regions. We have Arua, and we are online with the online business registration system that was developed and implemented over 6 months ago. I know the business community did not embrace it so well, but at the moment, I believe that you have embraced it, because we've been training people and also changing the mindset. When people are used to walking to these offices, using the manual systems, it's very hard to change the mindset to encourage them to use the digital systems. But we have the IT tools in place that you can register your entity just right at the comfort of your office, the comfort of your home, and get instant registration results. And so what is the mass registration project going to do? It's going to go down in the villages, in the said hard-to-reach areas, even the easy-to-reach areas, because that's why we are saying Chiri Easy as our tagline. Chiri Easy. It is easy now. The process has been eased. And Uganda has put the best environment for people to transact. Actually, Uganda is very generous. In many countries, you will not operate a business without registration. For us in Uganda, because we are flexible, we have a good business, social, technological, and political environment. You wake up today and you find a duka next to your gate. You wake up today, you find a duka next to Sheraton, and so on. And without registration. And it means that if you don't formalize, you will miss out the benefits of registration. We are moving to a data-driven economy where government plans according to the database that we have. If government does not know the exact number of businesses and can only be told in our register, in our master register at URSB, it will not plan well. So let's encourage everyone to get on the register because it is easy. And the benefits that accrue benefit your family, yourself, your family, and the next generations. And that's why you see generational businesses surviving and thriving, because they were registered, they have corporate governance principles, they are known by the state, they are paying their tax, they have the right licenses, and they can acquire property in their names, they can transact with business, with government in terms of procurement, they can collaborate with other international agencies, they can acquire loans easily from banks, they can recapitalize. But if you're not registered, it means that you're just waiting for your business to go down any time, and yet you could formalize it and get a certificate. The government has also eased registration through, not only easing the processes, registration processes through automation, but also digitizing our database. All the data of URSB is 100% digitized. Remember the days when files would disappear, when documents would walk, they had hands, they had legs, you'd look for them, you could not see them. But now, everything is digitized. You can even access our database as long as you have the rights. And many of you have used the system because it is open to the public. And at this juncture, I would like to appreciate the Ministry of ICT. Because of government-to-government cooperation, we have a representation. Government-to-government business, we had to engage the Ministry of ICT to give us a system of registration. And that is how the online business registration services was born, well developed by our local talented young people through the Ministry of ICT, and it is running the business of URSB. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the business community, our stakeholders, for the support that you continue to give us. And in a special way, I would like to thank our minister. I know he will speak at later, but Honorable Minister, we appreciate you for the support, for the guidance that you have given us. I would like to appreciate our Honorable Board Chair, Right Honorable Francis Butajira, and the fellow board members that are here. I saw some board members. Please, with all due respect, stand up for recognition. This is the board members of URSB that have made URSB what it is. You know, colleagues, that boards kill institutions. Boards kill. A bad board will finish you. Will finish the leaders, will finish the country, will finish everything, all efforts that have been put in place. But we want to thank God that we have a professional board, a board that does not involve themselves into petty stuff. They guide, they do their work, the corporate governance principles, and if you have a great board chair who is a professor of law, who has attended Harvard Law School, who is a former Speaker of Parliament, who is a canon in the church, who is a former judge. I mean, what kind of profile? I mean, I thank you to our board. And Mr. PSST, our brother, our friend, thank you very much for the economic guidance. You have guided us. I remember when this project was born, we came to your office, in your board, in your office at the Ministry of Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Justice, my boss is always the head. And you advised us and guided us. And for you, you want numbers. Give us a business case. And we talked numbers. And here we are. Thank you for the support. And because this is a 4-year project, we believe that even when the economy may not be doing well, you have saved the funds for the next 5 years, because we also collect non-tax revenue. As you are aware, this last financial year we posted 77.1 billion. We overshot our target. And we believe that this financial year we are likely to get to about between 90 to 100 billion. And we shall continue to collect non-tax revenue because it gets back to the economy in terms of transformation, infrastructure, development, change management, and many others. I thank you to the team of URSB, Uganda Registration Services Bureau. I know my colleague Vincent Katutsi has already appreciated you, but kindly please stand up for recognition. You are the ones that do this work. You're the ones that put in all the effort. And in a special way, I would like to recognize the Deputy Registrar General, Mr. Alex Sanganya, come here. The Deputy Registrar General, Mr. Alex Sanganya. He's in charge of finance and administration. And all of you colleagues, I believe that we shall take our photos later, but I want to thank you. And again, we thank God for our country that has given us the environment to lead, but also the government register businesses. Every time you feel like giving up, remember countries that have no environment where they can transact business. So let's not take things for granted. I'm a patriotic Ugandan, and I always tell young people to appreciate the business, political, economic, social environment that we have in Uganda. We cannot take it for granted. I thank you, and I say all this for God and my country. In a special way, you will allow me to again try to change the protocol. The PSST has an engagement. I'd like to invite him to come and speak at this moment, and he will help us to invite the board chair before he leaves this podium. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mercy, the Honorable Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, the Honorable Members of Parliament, if they're in the room, colleagues, permanent secretaries, the board chair, and other board members, as well as staff of URSB, the representatives of the business community here. I can see so many in the room. All of the protocols are very well observed. I see so many friends lost and found. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I greet all of you, and I am pleased to be here this morning to be part of this journey, the journey of mass business registration in our country. This is an initiative which was born out of a vision to eliminate unnecessary bureaucratic hurdles, simplify the registration procedures, and make it easier for entrepreneurs and business people who usually don't have time and the money to waste to start and operate businesses in Uganda with ease. It is a testament to our commitment as government to creating a more business-friendly environment and enhancing private sector development. This initiative has a huge potential to contribute to our National Development Plan 3 goal of increasing household incomes and improving the quality of life of all Ugandans. as you are aware, under Objective 2 of the NDP 3 Private Sector Development Program usually emphasizes our one-stop center for business registration and licensing. It is there in NDP 3. And mass registration of businesses is a pivotal step towards achieving this goal. Because by mainstreaming registration and also streamlining it, we are able to enhance essential business services, formal markets, as well as vital resources like capital and land. In the same Objective 12 NDP 3 Private Sector Development Program, we emphasize the need to establish a Business Development Services Framework, BDS. And I am pleased to inform you that my Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development developed and launched this framework in September last year. The overarching aim of this framework is to strengthen the organizational and institutional capacity of the private sector and enable mass access to BDS across the country. This will complement and strengthen the dividends that we are likely to get out of the mass business registration initiative. This initiative aims at increasing the formalization, as the RIG has told you, and it has been a song, we want to formalize businesses, we want to register businesses. I told Mercy the first time I met her that you should be in the lead, because in the past I think we were making a mistake in signaling, where these guys had they have a club of organizations, and they were telling people, register businesses so that you can pay tax. Register businesses, formalize, so that you can be licensed by KCCA. And intuitively, entrepreneurs want to hide away from tax as much as possible. So what is the incentive? What is the incentive for formalization? So here the model had to change. We want to formalize businesses so that government can be able to support businesses to grow, and when they grow, then we can be able also to get revenue from businesses which make money, but not to register you just for purposes of getting a tin, and we tax you to the grave. That's not our model. The model is to facilitate businesses so that they can be able to grow, and out of growth, all of us are going to benefit. The economy will flourish, we shall get more revenue, the businesses will make more money, and the entrepreneurs, as a result of that, will benefit. Therefore, the objectives of this initiative, for emphasis, number one is to extend the business registration services to all communities across the country. Number two, to improve the ease of doing business in our communities. Number three, to promote business registration awareness. And number four, to expand the business register. And therefore, number five, to increase the non-tax revenue collections. The expected result of this, we already, for me, I work with the targets, numbers, and Mercy has assured me she's going to be able to add to the register a total of 546 businesses by the year 2026-27. And with that, we shall yield non-tax revenue of about 90.25 billion. But as she has told you, she already surpassed the target. I hope she wasn't just tactical. You set the target low, then you surpass it. But I don't think that was the case. In that case, therefore, formalization is a catalyst for economic growth. It encourages businesses to be more productive and innovative, leading to job creation and higher incomes. And really, as Ugandans, we need to know, when you hide yourself away from the form of doing business, you lose out on the benefits that come with a formal operation. The banks will not give you money. If they are to give you money, they will give you money at a very high cost. Government will not support you. Like now we have a small business recovery fund of 200 billion. But the main prerequisite, the main requirement for accessing it is formalization. You must be a formal business by the time COVID happened. You faced COVID, your cash flows were affected. You can go and get up to 200 million shillings at 10% interest. Now, many businesses have failed to access this fund. And we are changing the rules of the game every day with the supervised financial institutions. Why? Because most people they get who were affected, restaurants, some nursery schools, some small garages here and there and so on. Most of them, 87% of them were not formal. They didn't have any kind of formal document. They were doing business. They were affected by COVID, but they didn't have books of accounts. So the formalization is a benefit for all of us, including the businesses themselves, starting with, not forgetting the entire economy. So therefore, the mass business registration initiative is not a mere option, but a fundamental component of progress, growth, and the improved well-being of all Ugandans. Its significance will echo across various sectors and aspects of the economy. Currently, the informal sector remains large at an estimated 53.5% of the GDP. Imagine, our GDP, more than half of it is informal. It's produced by informal businesses. The sector is characterized by a migratory nature of operation and complexity, which renders it hard to track business operations, poses threats, especially in terms of financing, limited access to credit, and contributes to a narrow tax base. This mass business registration, therefore, will be crucial in reducing the informality in the economy. It will build on the three strategic pillars of collaboration, engaged citizenry, and simplified processes. As a matter of necessity, productive, reliable, and consistent partnerships will be key to achieving the expected results. We hope that URSB has built enough capacity and also mechanism of collaborating with the sister organizations, because in this journey, you need to move as a whole government, as well as private sector, or the non-state actors. Therefore, stakeholder engagements, sensitization, and education will shape the outcome of this initiative, and above all, the simplification of the processes. They say simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Let us not appear to be so sophisticated. in the way we craft our model, let it be so simple for the average, what we call a median Ugandan, to understand the processes, to register business. And I am happy that Mercy's team, they have been doing this. I've personally registered business. I know the process. The challenge has been those names, Mercy. You need to do something about names. It seems all names in Uganda were taken. To register business is a tug of war. I am happy, Honorable Minister and colleagues, that we are launching this initiative at a time when both the PDM, the Parish Development Model, and the project for generating growth opportunities and opportunities for women enterprises, GROW, have taken off. There is also another one called Invite, which is coming on board. These interventions have the potential to drive change in the country's landscape of formal commercial enterprises within the framework of our NDP3 and Vision 2040. And in doing so, it will support government's agenda of growing the economy tenfold. The President has given us a challenge. He wants the Ugandan economy to expand tenfold in the medium term. It's not in one generation. All of us who are in this room, we shouldn't die before we have seen a Ugandan economy of about $500 billion. That's the challenge the President has given us in one generation. And at Finance, we have already started on this task by bringing in a number of initiatives, business unusual, to ensure that we can achieve this. As I conclude, let us keep in mind the success of this initiative will require the collective effort of government agencies, the private sector, the civil society, and all stakeholders involved. It will be founded upon diligent work and seamless collaboration. We can cultivate an environment which is conducive for business and also for innovation as we elevate our economy to those heights that I've already explained. I thank you very much for your dedication and results. URSB, you are an organization of results. Please keep it up. And I pledge my support to ensure that this initiative succeeds. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. PSST, for your kind remarks. I now take the honor to invite our board chair, the Right Honorable Francis Butajira. May you please come and address us. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, the Secretary to the Treasury was just left, but we had a chat, informal chat before. Board members who are here, stakeholders who are also here, ladies and gentlemen, we have had a very good review by the Registrar General of what we have been doing and where we are heading. And also from the speech of the Secretary to the Treasury, he also hinted at the importance of this exercise today. I want to say just a few words. When our board was inaugurated some time back. I gave a challenge to the management that our focus now will be to put in place measures that would ease doing of business, make Uganda an attractive destination for investment. And I didn't want to tell them, I didn't want to hear, oh, in a neighboring country or so forth, they can register business in 2 hours or 1 day. I said that story must end. This time it should be Uganda example that we can register business in 1 hour. I'm glad, ladies and gentlemen, that that challenge has been met. Through formalization, or rather through simplification of business registration process, as well as collaborating with other agencies. For instance, we came out with the initiative of one-stop center. For us, we leave the talk. We don't just one-stop center, and we went ahead and did it, so that an investor doesn't want to jump from one place to another. They are all under one roof. And in our new building, they are all under one roof. So coupled with that, and also automation, we have been able to increase the volumes of people or volumes of registration services. But as Secretary Treasurer has said, and also Registrar General, we cannot sit comfortably when most of our businesses, more than a half, are informal. No modern economy can take place if most of the businesses are informal. We have to formalize. Now, in this exercise, I'm glad that the Secretary Treasury hinted at it, because there is a misconception that if you formalize business, then the taxman would be on your neck. Now, I want us to demystify that, as emphasize advantages of registration. The taxing can come in later as a corollary, but there are more advantages, and I think this is a challenge of Registrar General and your team to sensitize people about the importance of registration. And I appeal also to the URA to engage in a diplomatic way so that you don't frighten the people with the tax. No. Our people are just sensitive on that. This is a challenge. They are here. Let's work in such a way that we don't frighten these people. Rather, we emphasize the importance of registration, formalization. As RG has said, we are going to do it. And for us, we deliver. Once we set a goal, we achieve it. And I know we shall do it with your cooperation. I want to thank very much our Honorable Minister for the tremendous support you have given to URSB. We would not have moved where we are if we didn't have that. And I want to thank the management and Mercy and your team. Ours, we know our boundaries. The board does not micromanage. That does not mean abdication, but we supervise, and we know our roles. And we discourage petty quarrels between the board chair or the CEO, very petty things which can ruin an organization. For us, that is a taboo. I want to thank you very much for your listening to me, and I take this opportunity to invite the Honorable Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs to address us.
the chair of the board of the Uganda Registration Services Bureau, and your board members, senior civil servants who I see in the room. I can't fail to recognize Mama Bubu. Isn't she in great shape? Actually, when she walked in, I was wondering, you know, this young lady, I need to get her number. I'm joking. I also see people who are in businesses. My longtime talk show host at the Capital Gang, former CEO of the New Vision Group, and coffee agitator, Robert Kabushenga, and your colleagues in the business. Believe it or not, I actually have a written speech. I'm not famous for reading speeches. I'm not good at reading speeches, but I do have a written speech. America has Fortune 500. Those are the pillars of the American economy. It's really actually not the political parties. Some of you may think it is the Republican Party and the Democratic Party that are the pillars of America. But as usual, you know, we politicians know how to inflate ourselves like balloons. We exaggerate our importance. Fortune 500, those companies are the bedrock of America. I don't know how many Fortune companies we have in Uganda. Do we have some Fortune 5? Really, in a spirit of participation, because though I've been told that I'm supposed to deliver a keynote address, I'm also the minister in charge of URSB and so on. But I want us to have a family talk because we have got hundreds of people who are following this discussion online via Zoom. I wish I would turn this into a classroom and ask you to name 500 companies, 50, 5. So which are the Fortune 5 in Uganda? The companies that Uganda cannot do without. We are all students of history. Do you know that Uganda was colonized by a company? You know the Imperial British East African Company. They came here and they turned everybody in Buganda into a squatter. You know, they had their land. The Kabaka was the trustee of the land. And a man called Sir Harry Johnston, managing director of the Imperial British East African Company. Of course, the shareholders were there waiting for results, meaning profits, the investors. So he came. We had a young king here. Because he was young, there were regents who were supposed to be acting on his behalf, but purportedly in the best interest of the community. So they signed a document known as the 1900 Buganda Agreement, which we also know as the Uganda Agreement, because Buganda is the core community of the Ugandan state. Every country has got a core. Germany has Prussia, America has Virginia, and so on. That's a historical fact, and there's nothing wrong with recognizing that, because there is always that credo, the pillar. So a company came here and distributed all the land, and of course gave the lion's share to the owner of the company, the British colonial power. When they took the proposals to the Lukiko. The Lukiko said, well, it's a good idea, but what about us? So they got some njaulo. So they were told that, okay, we will ensure that also some of the prominent people also get some shares. So they then put their stamp of approval, and overnight, everybody now realized that they were sitting on land whose title they didn't have. It was done by a managing director of a company. These are historical facts. I'm not expressing a political opinion. I have a political opinion on this matter, but I'm not going to express it. I'm only stating the importance of incorporation, because that's what has brought us. You incorporate, and incorporation starts with even life. Our grandparents were happily married, they had children, they had some kind of divorce, but it was not really taken very seriously. Families went about looking for spouses for their children. So now you have this monster called the state. Because what we are dealing with here is the relationship between those who want to make money and the state. So, businesses who are listening today, and I see the boss of the Chamber of Commerce here, the state is a difficult animal, you know. It's a bit like sharing a bed with an elephant. You can be in the same bed, but you make sure that when it turns, it does not squeeze you. So the relationship has to be negotiated and boundaries. And that is why businesses must not ignore how the state is run, because it is the policies made by the state that determine your life and death. I thought I should say that rather than giving you a lecture on the benefits. So, let's now talk about the contours of power. Of course, power exists in many forms, just like water. You can have water in the form we drink as liquid. You can have water as solid, as ice. You can also have water as gas in the form of vapor. But the formula is the same. 2 molecules of hydrogen and 1 of oxygen. It doesn't matter whether it is ice or liquid water. Power ideally started with monarchs. You know, we had monarchies here. I don't have the time to take you how suddenly they started being pushed to the periphery. But that is not unique to Uganda. Even in Europe, which we study. And the best way to talk about power is to talk about the physical structures that embody or personify the face of power. You know, power also has its apparitions. That's why when a bishop comes, they wear that long thing. You say, here is a bishop. When a general comes, you see shiny things on the shoulders. When their royal highnesses, their majesties come, you also see what accompanies them. When a president of the republic comes, you also, the trappings. So also power has its physical manifestations. But in this case, I'll restrict myself to buildings. In the times of the monarchies, it was the castles. So you'd say, Lord Kabushenga. And that is his castle. Protected. And then you have the Duchess of, I don't know where. And so on and so forth, symbolized by the big castles and palaces. Then power changed structure because those who were claiming to be speaking to God suddenly became more powerful. So power shifted to the spiritual leaders. Then you started having the grand mosques. You started having the grand cathedrals. Those were now the physical manifestations of power. Sooner or later, those ones also suffered a decline. Power shifted to something known as the state. And again, the physical manifestations are there for all of us to see. So now you can get a letter on which there's only 3 words: State House Entebbe. And you know that is power. And it is even emphasized by the unique color of the stationery. Have you got a blue letter? I have a blue letter. So people can wave a blue letter. The White House, they just have some picture and then they say, the White House. CNN opens up and says, according to the White House. Say, does the White House talk? Number 10. Everybody knows number 10. Downing Street. It's a very small door. Actually, it looks like a door of a kiosk. With one or two police officers standing outside. Orugwiro Village. Or village, I don't know, something like that. That's how. So the state. But even the state is suffering a decline. Believe it or not. So I saw Prime Minister Netanyahu in a meeting with the boss of Tesla. That made more news than if he had gone to sit with President Biden. I saw President Ruto rubbing shoulders with Silicon Valley people. So now the headquarters of Google is now a physical manifestation of power. In Berlin, the headquarters of Sony, headquarters of Huawei, Samsung. These are now the physical manifestations of power. So we are here to talk about the relationship between this power, which is embedded in organized businesses that serve society. Because in every way, wherever we are part of a business. We took fuel from Total, Shell. So somehow we are in that web already. We all wear something which is branded. So I have an Apple computer here, which is a telephone. Now, in this telephone, they also buy parts from so many other companies. So, the truth of the matter is that whatever you do, you must now be part of this relationship. So I am extremely proud of this inauguration because it has the potential to transform the economy. We are still in the economy where we fight for land with pangas and spears. Because of the nature of our economy, you must still have a place where to throw a seed in order to survive. I heard a rumor that one day the president introduced one of the richest men in the world, namely Mr. Warren Buffett, to his millionaires whose millions walk on 4 legs, the cattle keepers. And the cattle keepers, because they have their own view of what a rich man has, put the question to the president that this man called Warren Buffett, how many cows has he got? And when they got the answer that he has no cows, they said, no. This is not a serious man. There's no way you can be rich if you don't have cows. So, economic transformation means you can now be rich without owning an inch of land. And it is taking time as we move into condominium laws that actually you don't have to be on the ground itself to be a landowner, because even the concept of land is now changing. Just like even the concept of money is now changing into cryptocurrencies, whether it is mobile money, which is really cash in, cash out system, nothing complicated. We are still listed, nevertheless, among the least developed world economies. That in itself is a construct. I grew up in the village. Our economy was not based on cash. As a cobbler, I could mend a shoe and get 1 shilling. And that was enough to buy some bananas. We never had World Food Program. But we were told that we are poor. I have seen poor people in America and in Europe. But World Food Program doesn't have a program there. So I asked myself, why is World Food Program not there? Where you see homeless people camping in road reserves and so on. So we are now trying to redefine ourselves and determine really who we are. Because there's something which is twisted in our minds. And the best story I have for you comes from my own son, who tried to speak English to a Russian in a supermarket one day. And he said, you know, something like, this Muzungu does not know Luzungu. Because we assume that every white person speaks English. And we assume that if you don't know English, therefore, you are not educated. Therefore, you are actually not worthy of being white even. Because that is what is in our mind. The point I'm making, dear friends, is that we need a mind shift if we are going to deliver this project. I was in the bushes of Garamba when a journalist from the BBC, a white young lady, put this question to Mr. Joseph Kony, the leader of the LRA. How on earth do you even have the temerity to dream of leading Uganda when you can't even speak English? You are illiterate. Of course, Joseph Kony is not a fool. So he also gave it to her. Said, Madam, the Russians have gone to space, so have the Chinese. Have they gone there using English? Even their rockets have Chinese characters written on them. So English is irrelevant to science. So that is why Chiri Ize is a kind of step-down transformer to bring this concept of incorporating businesses to the level where the omuntu wa wansi can connect with it substantively. A step-down transformer is very important because the power generated at Owen Falls Dam, whether Nalubale, is enough to run a factory. But it should also be enough to charge a phone. It should be enough to boil a kettle of water. And the only thing that creates that interface is the transformer to step it down or to step it up as necessary. Of course, If you are stepping it up to Rujeyo Farm, which has the ambition to sell coffee in Hong Kong, that one you step it up. Or you step it down to Wakina Mama Mboga, who simply want to deliver a pickup of tomatoes to Nakasero every day. So, here are my 2 cents. We are talking of $500 billion as our ambition. By the standards of the globe, that is very small. 2 weeks ago, I had a phone conversation with the mayor of New York. He wants to come to Uganda, for instance. Of course, the economy of New York is bigger than the one of Uganda. This 500 billion, even Oprah Winfrey has it. In fact, she has 3 times that amount of money. But, of course, the Secretary of Treasury of the Republic of Uganda has to set that as a presidential goal. So, in other words, we have to run Registrar General. We cannot walk. In fact, we are delaying. We really have to wake up and run. Incorporation will protect your personal assets. In church, we have what they call testimonies. Testimonies is better than the greatest sermon that any preacher can give. Because if you saw somebody who was blind and now they are seeing, for sure you will get saved that day. No matter the eloquence of the preacher, nothing beats a good testimony. So let me give you my personal testimony. 2009, I made up my mind to run for president of Uganda. 2009, I decided that, campaign is expensive. And the reason why people have problems with the banks and so on, because they have exposed themselves personally to the banks. So now you become a fugitive. By incorporating your business, you have a big shield called Limited to protect you. So I incorporated something called the Mao Political Action Committee Limited. After every campaign, politicians have debts. Nobody can finish a campaign without debts. If those who wed can have debts, now imagine those of us who run around looking for votes. So I went to URSB and I had a conversation. They resisted my efforts to register something called Political Action Committee. But I told them, here is the law. Tell me under which law you are refusing my name. I can give myself any name under the law. So the Mao Political Action Committee Limited was duly born as a company limited by guarantee. And I was hiding behind that company as I borrowed money for fuel, as I did what. And naturally, after the campaign, I had over 400 million shillings in debt. Thanks to that initiative and the power of the word limited and the shield that incorporating your interests bring, I would get a call. Honorable, when are you paying us? You took fuel from here. Sorry, the company is still looking for money. It's very important to separate yourself from the company. So, assuming you have supplied eggs to Sheraton and so on, you can even meet the managing director on the street, but you can't start an argument with him personally. You would say, Sheraton will pay you very soon. Now, that is the beauty, because Robert Kabushenga is different from Rujeyo Farm. You have had a former president called Trump. Every once in a while, his company declares bankruptcy. and he dumps all the portfolios of bad debts, and he is born again, like a snake that has molted. You emerge anew, you leave the old shell. Some people may even think that is fishy, but life would be impossible if people were personally liable for these things. So limited means it is your liability which is limited to only what you have put in the company. So you can't find me driving a most expensive car and say, I'm taking this car. The Mao Political Action Committee must pay. Say, man, I'm going to sue you if you dare. I'll sue you now personally as Norbert Mao, because this is my car. That debt was incurred by the Mao Political Action Committee. So, I have given you my testimony. It kept me going for a few months. And obviously, I never faced the kind of embarrassment that many politicians face. I hear some MPs have to sleep in parliament, you know, to avoid auctioneers and so on. I've read it in the newspapers. Then, taxes. I lead a party which believes in low taxes. For one principle, I don't believe that I should make my money and give it to the government to decide what to do with it. I think having made it, I'm a better judge on how to spend it. It is as simple as that. That's really the principle of my tax policy. But because society can be unstable if we don't give the state some money to do things like roads and so on and so on. So tax should be fair and balanced. There's an impression that Ugandans are overtaxed. Maybe because the taxpayers are few, so we are milking those few cows. Taxes will drastically go down if we understand what incorporation, this mass registration, can do. We only expect you to pay taxes for your employees. They pay as you earn. In Uganda, it seems that there's some tax that they collect just as a tax because you are a business. Because I hear horror stories. So I don't know whether there's anybody from URA. Is there anybody from URA here? Registrar General, this is a scandal. We must get URA to put its cards on the table. In any case, even if I owe tax, there should be an arrangement on how you can pay it. You cannot come at me as if I've committed a crime. I'm in business. So if all the businesses closed today in protest, the URA would collapse. Even that tower will be occupied by lizards. There are other benefits of incorporation. For instance, if you are a vegetable seller and you have your pickup, which you have insured, that premium you pay for the insurance is tax deductible. Those are some of the little things that our people need to know. So if I have a lorry and I'm paying 5 million a year to insure it against these hazards on our roads, when my tax is being calculated, the 5 million will be deducted from it. So that truck of Rugeyo Farm, whatever premium you pay in insurance is deductible for the simple reason that you are registered as a business. That is obvious. Even employee benefits. For instance, if you provide lunch, a subsidized lunch for all your employees, that also should be tax deductible. And that is the reason why businesses should be organized. And I'm very pleased to see the Chamber of Commerce and Industry here, because you are the people who must struggle for that blanket with that elephant I talked about. Because that elephant, once in a while, turns and leaves you in the cold. So you must really be strong enough to hold on to your side of the blanket and keep pushing because the state want to get as much as possible from you. But for you, you must ensure that the state understands that you're already standing in the gap. You are paying salaries. We call it payroll. So the other thing is you get credibility when you are registered. When you have X, Y, Z and sons, you become well known. You develop brand credibility. And because you are the first, everybody knows Sheep Toothbrush Company. I don't know why he chose that name, but it's somehow very interesting. We used to have Walusimbi's garage. You get a brand. Then estate security. One of the institutions I supervise is, of course, the Administrator General. I think you people should pay a visit to that building where the Administrator General is. It's like a marketplace. Wailing widows, screaming children, and so on. Quarrels over estates. I used to be a lawyer for the poor before I went to Parliament. I was the project advocate for the Northern Uganda office of the Legal Aid Project of Uganda Law Society. It was a job nobody wanted. For the first time, there was a job where I was the only applicant. And the interview was really a counseling session because the boss, the president of the Uganda Law Society, Justice Salome Bosa, invited me for the interview, and it was really not an interview. She was just giving me morale. Please don't be afraid. We shall support you as you go to Gulu. We shall support you. We shall be behind you. Please go and serve. Imagine the only applicant. Very unusual in Uganda. So, in one encounter, as you know, women are really subjected to a lot of suffering when they lose their husbands. So your husband's brothers who call you Mulamo, and they are very pleasant. When your husband dies, all of a sudden you can't recognize the Mulamo. Where are the land titles? Bring them immediately. Bring the card of the vehicle. You know, they just become like, Lucifer incarnate. I had one such incident where we tried to do a mediation meeting. So I arrived as a young lawyer, age 27, with the elders who had finally come to show their true colors. This is the widow of their beloved son. And they are telling her, he told us all the documents are in a briefcase. Bring it now. But I think the woman also had some brain waves. So she entered the bedroom and said, okay, let me bring it. While there, she undressed, totally stark naked, and came out and stood at the door of the bedroom and said, yeah, this is the asset that he valued most. I can tell you the door became so small as gray-haired men and old women struggled to exit to avoid the abominable sight. But what do you do when you are left with no choice? I think the woman was right, because she had now only one last card to play. By registering your assets in a company, the Administrator General has no business with you, apart from the shares you have in the company. If while you are alive, you have created a company which holds your assets, you are no longer subjected to that so-called 2-year rule of asset distribution regarding your estate. Because it will be a company. And if you state clearly that in case of my death, this is how my shares should be allocated. So that is yet another benefit of this registration. But the most important is that you have the opportunity to sell shares and raise equity. You get investors. Actually, even criminals are organized. Of course, today we are restricting ourselves to the legal things. But even those who commit crime, you know, in those days, somebody would say, we are going to West Africa and we expect to come back with 5,000 slaves. And then people start investing in that enterprise. Please, when you come back, I want 500 slaves. When you come back, this is how it was. So these guys, they go to a shipbuilder, they order a ship, they even hire kanyamas for purposes of that devilish enterprise. And then, that's why you hear all of a sudden people are confessing that, you know, our ancestors built these castles and mansions out of money from slavery and so on and so forth. So, whoever invented this idea of incorporating businesses was definitely a genius, because then we have an opportunity to hide behind these companies. We are a creature. But sometimes a company can also become wild. You have read a book about Dr. Frankenstein. He created a monster, and the monster turned on him. And eventually the monster told him, you are my creator, but I'm your master. So, once in a while, we must ensure that everything retains that human face. So we go back the way I started. Behind the crown and the palaces, there should be human beings. A king or a queen who is human, who does not put the so-called monarchy too much ahead. Behind the cassock and the mitre and whatever their graces and their holinesses have, there should be a human being. And also behind their excellencies, behind the number 10, White House, behind the blue letter, there should be a human being. And also behind the company, the incorporated, there should be a human being. That's why we have had debates about the morality of those who made too much profit from vaccines and so on and so on. So I end my speech by saying, despite the need to register and create something which is separate from the human being, we must still make sure that the human being is in charge. In other words, we must keep that human element. And all Ugandans must always have the right to ask the question of every company and every state, what have you done for me lately? And that is why we have something called corporate social responsibility, which gives a human face to the kind of things that we do. I believe that the mass registration is targeting the smaller businesses. But business is like traffic. You have the 36-wheelers, you have the lorries, you have the pickups, the SUVs, you have the small chikumi, you have boda-bodas, you have bicycles, and even pedestrians. So I believe that this is about traffic control, to ensure that all of them exercise their full rights within their lanes, so that the 36-wheeler does not throw off the small businesses. I think this decision is strategic because at our level of operation, we need to protect these small businesses. So we need as many zebra crossings as possible for our businesses, for Rujeyo to be able to cross and start competing with the other giants. So Rujeyo will never cross that road unless you put a zebra crossing. So we cannot have a free-for-all economy where we are. How will a construction company which is building pit latrines today and small classrooms get the contract to build Lubowa Hospital unless you create zebra crossings for them? Where the state must stand with its full power and say, you know what? Your zing-zing construction will not pass here. This is for XY from Isinjiro, who is currently building. So we expect that you are going to challenge government with suggestions on how to create that environment that will protect these nursery kids to cross to the other side, to make the transition. Because that is what will do Bubu. The small cottage industries, the tailors in the villages that are making school uniforms must not be driven out of business by some giant based in Kampala. I think that way you will achieve a bigger goal. I end by thanking you for making this simple and for developing this comprehensive guidance. I challenge you to raise your target, and I know this is a pivotal step forward so that Uganda can become a hub of innovation, entrepreneurship, and economic prosperity. We have 2 rainy seasons in our country, unlike some countries like Zambia with 1 rainy season. We have untapped potentials. Therefore, we must set goals that challenge us. We cannot set goals that are too easy to achieve. So, dear friends, today is not a ceremony. It is a commitment to realizing the dreams and aspirations of our entrepreneurs. It should mark a shift of the center of gravity away from we the talkers, the politicians, to the people who actually do things for our people. Together, we can restore hope. All the anger you see on social media, all the hyperventilation you see from the Ugandan diaspora, the solution does not lie in, free and fair elections and so on. The solution can only be buttressed by what we are attempting to do today. And therefore, our goals must be goals that challenge us. They must be goals that cannot be achieved just by one term. Let us avoid the scenario I read about of a man who reached a village and found that somebody had managed to shoot arrows, bull's eye, on about 5 circles on a board. And he asked the villagers, who is this sharpshooter who gets the bull's eye each time on these 5 boards that I see here? So they told him, it's the village idiot. So he requested to meet the village idiot, who is such a good sharpshooter, who does not miss the target. Imagine 5 boards, all in a line, and there's an arrow right in the center, bull's eye. So the village idiot showed up And having received a question about how he does it, he proceeded to explain. He said, "You see, sir, I first shoot the arrow, then I draw the circles." I expect that we shall do better than that. With those many words, I thank you again. And I don't know whether there is any ceremonial part of the launch. I now await for that. May God bless you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round for the Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, we shall not be the village idiot. I would like to invite the URSB launch committee to organize our board. But just before that, to take very special recognition of some of our very distinguished partners. From JLOS, we have the Senior Technical Advisor, Madam Rachel Odoy, most welcome. We're also honored to have the Deputy Technical Advisor, Mr. Sam Wairagara, most welcome. Canon. We have the Uganda Bank Association Executive Director, Mr. Mutulu, most welcome. The Committee, we have the Registrar General to say one or two things, and then we shall go into the signing of the board. This board is going to be the commitment that we're making today to deliver on our promises. And as we wait for the minister to come, I'll ask the Registrar General to come and say a few things. I have been your MC, Vincent Katutsi. I work with URSB as the Director of Civil Registration, and if you don't mind, you could also clap for me. Thank you so much.
Vincent, and to you, Honorable Minister, we really appreciate your guidance. What a simplified way of breaking down the registration value, or the value of registration of businesses. Indeed, within our tagline meaning, you made it easy, chili easy. And I hope among your retirement plans, you have a plan now to incorporate another company, the Mau University of Leadership and Politics. I'll be one of your students because there's a lot of intellectual capital that you have. And I hope it is there, Mau University. You better reserve it for the Honorable Minister before the names get done. Honorable Minister, your guests have been introduced to you. Thank you very much, our MC. But I also, in a special, would like to introduce our team from URSB. I'd earlier recognized them, but I would like you to come just before our clients that are physically here, the users of URSB services that are also online. I'm informed hundreds are viewing online, because we commit to continue protecting and promoting the business that we register. Please, if you're not ashamed of earning a salary from URSB, please come. This is a team that does the work. Please feel free to. This is the team that does the work. We are a team of 310 staff scattered within the country, and all the achievements that we celebrate are done by these great men and women. And as we make this commitment, as we renew the commitment to serve you, I make it on all these great servants' behalf. And in a special way, allow me to recognize the committee that was behind all this. Please put up your hands. I know you had already been introduced. And in a very special way, I would like to recognize the Director of Business Registration, Mr. Ntale Mustafa. Please be at the front, because this project is within your docket. He is the big man behind the wheels. He's the big man behind the mass registration initiative. He is our driver, and he has a valid license. He has been tested. He can drive locally, regionally, and internationally. And he's driving us through this project within the regions of Uganda. And we believe that we shall reach everybody as we register these businesses with enablement of ICT tools. And I see the director and the team of ICT and all the communication team and all the other partners within URSB. We believe that we shall deliver. Thank you, team. You do amazing work. I know public servants or people who serve the public are never recognized, but I recognize you as your leader. It is amazing to work with such a special team, a team of talented, committed, energetic Ugandans. And I don't think they have even plans to join politics. They are too much into government registration services. But if they ever did, they would sweep the votes. So thank you very much, colleagues. And to our team, I take it back to our MC. Please manage the next agenda item. Thank you, team. Uganda is proud of you. The world is proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Registrar General. Now, we have 2 items remaining. One of them is signing the board, and like I said, it's a commitment from the URSB to Ugandans in delivering this project. Commitment, as the minister said. May I then invite the Minister for Justice, the board chair, the Registrar General, Mama Bubu, and our board members to come and we sign on this document. The team that is leading on this, please join me and show us what to do. Okay. So it's going to be like this. The Honorable Minister is going to unveil. Yes. So here we are, Honorable Minister. Chiri Ize is just about to be unveiled. In 1, in 3, in 2, and in 1. Cut the tape. Ministry of Lands, KCCA, CETA, UCIA. Please join us. Step in the development of our country. We'll have the media, the Fourth Estate, share a few minutes with the Honorable Minister to appreciate more from the Honorable Mao University of Understanding Political something, and of course also to speak about this. Thank you very much from us to you. Have a blessed day, and thank you so very much for honoring our invitation. Please do come again when we invite you, because we have a lot is more to come. When we invite you, please do come. Thanks again. Now, it would be fair that because we began with anthems, we close with anthems. In that regard, DJ, are we set? Can we be upstanding to run through the anthems, please? Thank you very much. Departure is at leisure. We'll have a word with the Honorable Minister as the fourth estate. Thank you so much.